Hello, welcome to PODnas. This is a sports show with a little Southern and Cajun flair. I'm Daniel Hawks, that's Mustache Jones, and today we are going over LSU's national championship. It was one for the ages. Number 8 looks great on us. I can say that after about a week. It was lovely. Now, a couple things here. One, Jarrett, how you doing? How's the stash?
Good, man. I had to get right and get a little homage to Jake Brown, new national champion, Jake Brown, the Sultan of Sulphur. I feel like it's looking good, man.
Oh, I love that so much. The Sultan of Sulphur is top tier. I hadn't heard that before, but what happened?
I hadn't heard or said it before.
Oh, okay. So it's brand new. So we're breaking shit on here. We're breaking stuff on here. Kershaw. We're breaking stuff on here on PODnas. I love that. LSU about a week ago, about a business week ago, takes home their 8. Yeah, it's almost 5 days.
Just go.
It's almost 5 days.
Sure.
LSU takes home their 8th national championship, sweeping Coastal Carolina in Omaha. They are, I would say, the premier college baseball program in the country right now. They were flirting on that edge anyway after the 2023 win, but bringing home number 8, I think, really solidifies that. I think what we really wanted to talk about this episode was just LSU's kind of legacy on the college baseball game, and also where they're going. What is the likelihood of 9 coming up, and maybe where some of these guys on this team are going to get drafted in the upcoming weeks in the MLB draft.
Yeah, I mean, look, the weekend was great. They left no doubts. You went into this College World Series finals talking about the kind of gold standard ultimately, and I think already in a lot of people's minds of college baseball with LSU, with already the 7 national championships, and all since 1990, all in the last few decades, whereas the only team with more, USC was built on championships in like the 50s, 60s, 70s type deal, versus the hottest team in America we talked about last week, Coastal Carolina, with 26. And LSU went ahead and said, nope, we're the hottest team in America. We're the most dominant team in America. We're the best team in America. And we reiterate that we're the gold standard with now 8, the first program to have multiple national championships in 3 separate decades. And so they just continue to kind of stockpile their accolades in, a really big picture way on top of what was a phenomenal 2-game series to take care of Coastal and just kind of, I'm not going to say cruise and not have hiccups, but they controlled the thing from start to finish for all 18 innings. And so it was fun.
Oh, it was really great to see a team that, really end their season with 2 streaks, So that was great for me. All that stuff with the 26 streak got real upended real quickly into a 2-game losing streak, which they'll start next season on. So good luck to them next year.
Yeah.
But
after the way Game 2 went, I believe they start next year without their coach and first base coach because of the suspension from being thrown out of that Game 2 when things went haywire there in the bottom of the first inning.
That was so weird and so crazy. Let's just talk about this, and I know it's a little bit after the fact, but I read that it was due to him arguing strikes and balls.
Yeah, I think the term prolonged arguing, essentially they were warned and kept at it, and it's just a no-no. And as frustrating, I think from the outside, if you don't know the kind of intricacies of the rules and how tight NCAA baseball tries to be with not getting bogged down in all of the strike and ball arguing, you look and feel like, okay, that ump had kind of a quick trigger with this thing, considering it's the first inning of a national championship game, but it's essentially written that way that they're just not going to deal with that. And at the end of the day, the coaches know that. And you saw the game before when Daniel Dickinson is hit by a pitch and ends up being called out on what would have been ball 4 or a hit by pitch in Game 1 of this thing, on a pitch that was into the batter's box and hit him. There was a moment on the broadcast where you see Jay Johnson try to ask for clarification of essentially what was Daniel Dickinson supposed to do. And the umps snap at him very quickly and Jay kind of back off. And he was asked about that moment Saturday night and said, the way the question was asked was essentially, why wasn't there more interaction? Did you not get more of an explanation after that, as though it was the umpire's fault? And, why was more not made of that? And he pretty quickly said that by rule, he was going to risk being tossed from that game. And he knew he needed to stay poised. He needed to be there for his team and all those things. And so it was very interesting the way that Sunday then started, having had in the immediate rear view of Saturday night some of that commentary from Jay. And then you see Kevin Schnall, as frustrated as clearly he and Matt Schilling were, put themselves in a situation where they were then out of the last innings of a championship game. Completely
changes the demeanor of the team. I felt like Coastal Carolina stayed in there very, very admirably for a chunk of that game. But then when LSU starts to get going, I feel like some of that stuff could have been negated had the manager and two of their major coaches been on the pitch, on the field. So,
yeah, it's tough you can't fully definitively like engineer what it would look like if they were there. I just don't know how much would have changed. In the wake of that, inning 2, you get the home run by Coastal. And so they take their first lead at any point of this short series on the solo shot to left field. And it seemed like they were kind of rallying in response to that. But then, some good hitting, stringing a couple things together in the top of the third by LSU to even it back up. And then the top of the fourth, they just really got at Jacob Morrison and were, one guy after another onto base. And then you get the big 2 RBI singles by Stanfield and Curiel. And just, at that point, it seemed like the Chanticleers and Morrison were reeling and LSU was taking control of this game. Even then, Coastal kind of shuts it down from there and is kind of scratching back a little bit, but credit to LSU. Ianson was great. Chase Shores came in and was great to close it down. Yeah. And the defense was just stellar the entire weekend and really the bulk of the Omaha run. And so that gets overlooked a little bit, but they were awesome.
I was so happy. I forget the kid's name. Braswell. Is it Braswell? Braswell?
Yeah. Michael Braswell.
Braswell finally gets a hit, and he had a real rough Omaha. But finally, towards the end of the game, gets on base, kind of really helps seal the deal. One of the things that really helped LSU kind of take control at the end of that game was him getting on base at the end.
And he was he was a huge piece with his defense, even in another rough night at the plate on Saturday. He made 2 or 3 just highlight reel defensive plays that were critical in them winning a razor thin margin for error game 1 to take control of the series. And so as much as he became kind of a polarizing figure in this run because he did struggle so much with the bat throughout the postseason, he was an exceptional piece of what was an exceptional defense almost every time out. And then to see him reach base on the free pass and on a single, so reaching base a couple of times on Sunday was great for him to kind of finally break through and get, I'm not going to say get right on offense because it still was a rough slump at the plate, but to have some positivity to end the season on that side of the ball.
Absolutely. And one thing I wanted to ask is we know Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson are going to be drafted higher in that probably first or compensatory pick or second round in there. Are there any other guys that are going into this MLB draft? And then who's coming back to the Tigers for next season and or who's transferring out? Do we have any transfers that maybe look like they're coming in? What's that timeline look like for LSU?
Yeah. You mentioned the 2 aces are certainly the 2 big names that Cade is in play to potentially be the first overall pick. Anthony, maybe sneaks into the first round after the way that he finished this season as well. Looking at the rest of the roster, Jared Jones, I think, is someone that is potentially on to the next level. Danny Dickinson at second base. Braswell was a senior. Josh Pearson and Chris Stanfield are 2 that I think have been looked at as as gone. Josh was a senior. Chris was a junior, but I mean, really showed some things this year. Ethan Fry will be interesting. Luis Hernandez will be interesting. I think both of those guys probably get drafted high enough to go on and make those moves. And I think what is exciting for LSU is there are a lot of, so I just listed a lot of names, obviously, but they used so many guys in situational ways where, I mean, Jake Brown, Stash brother, Jake Brown was a guy that was in the lineup quite a bit this year. And so he very naturally moves into like an everyday type role. It would seem you bring back the underclassmen, Derek Curiel, Stephen Milam, who were both phenomenal the bulk of the season, certainly through the postseason run. Cade Arambidi played a lot and can kind of step in at catcher if Luis Hernandez is on. Kason Evans is a guy we saw have a great freshman year, and certainly the postseason he was huge. Cooper Williams, William Schmidt, the freshman from Catholic High on the mound, had some moments this season where he was big out of that bullpen. And so there are a lot of guys that played really meaningful innings and whatnot this year, meaningful roles that'll be back to build around as kind of your core. And then it seems like it's always interesting with baseball because you have to get through the MLB draft and see where these high school guys get drafted, but they have, as always, another good group that appears to be coming in. They're in the middle of the transfer portal window right now where the Tigers actually have to play a lot of catch up because they've been playing while these other teams are losing and starting their transfer portal processes, recruiting. But I think the kind of proof is in the pudding, so to speak. The example is on the field of why you want to be an LSU Tiger. And so I think
Anthony Hyanson said after the championship, he said, "Come on down." I was like, that's about as good of a pitch as you need right after winning the national championship.
Yeah. Jay said at one point, particularly for pitchers, if you're a pitcher and you're looking at where do I want to go to college, you see what LSU's doing and you don't want to come to LSU, he said, then you're out of lunch and you're out to lunch and just must not be paying attention to what the hell is going on. And so we'll see. I think they'll add a few key pieces that are kind of plug and play. They already had a couple of announcements of guys that are heading this way. I know Dardar, a local kid who has been at Kansas State, brings a big bat to that infield, and so he'll be a nice addition to the group. And Cade, post-game interview, kind of wrapped his arm around Ianson and was talking about the state of this program that they're now moving on from, and said he has no doubt in his mind they're going to go chase number 9 next year with everything that they bring back. And so it'll be interesting. They should be considered among the favorites, if not the favorite, early on to go chase that.
Yeah. I can't wait to wear my Joe Burrow jersey after they win number 9. It's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. I don't have an LSU baseball jersey at this. I don't
either. I'm going to get one, but I do not.
I don't think I have a baseball jersey, but it's really exciting this time of year all the time. I grew up more initially drawn to LSU watching baseball than watching the football team. Like the LSU baseball program in the 90s was more of my, hey, this is really fun. This is the Louisiana school. We're off of our like grade school or whatever in June, and it's on ESPN during the summers. There's Louisiana things happening. Let me watch this during the day when I have a minute.
I went to many more games at old Alex Box Stadium than I did Tiger Stadium in my formative, I would think, elementary school. But just because, like you said, we were getting out of school and then that was just available. My parents weren't necessarily going to tailgate and bringing me on a Saturday,
Yeah. And then by the time you get to the late 90s, and I had grown up friends with Nick Pontiff from the time that we went to kindergarten. And so his older brother, Wally, at that point was playing for LSU. Wally. Yeah. Wally was, I think, a big reason why all of us went to Jesuit for high school. He was a senior at the time that we were choosing which high school to go to. And so we go to open house and he's there, and it's like, all right, well, I'm definitely going to Jesuit because he's the best. And And so anyway, all of this, long story short, of just LSU baseball being awesome and kind of foundational in terms of liking LSU even as a kid. I want to go back and see if I can. I guess I'll have to like get some custom made, but for every national championship, pick a favorite player and get that jersey to represent that national championship. Obviously, that's getting up there in number enough where it's going to cost a little bit to get it.
I was going to say, I also want to win the lottery and be able to do these things very easily. But I really like that this was just kind of a PODnas love letter to the LSU baseball program. This is a great episode, and you're coming correct with the mustache.
They deserve it.
That's great.
Yeah. This was a really fun run also. It's also a bummer that I've only been to Omaha for years where they didn't win the national championship.
Yeah.
Which
now you just can't go.
I know, it's really concerning. I would love to be up there. Seeing everyone post pictures from this run in particular and the amount of fun that they were having is a lot of FOMO going on.
Next time they go, we're going and we're going to do a PODnas from Omaha.
Okay.
Sound good? We're booking it. We're putting it on wax.
Let's go ahead and clear our schedules for next June, because it feels like they'll be there.
Well, I'm not going to go to Bonnaroo again, so that'll be off the table. Anyway, I don't have much else regarding the LSU team or this LSU amazing baseball program that we've been lucky enough to be able to support and watch and be fans of our entire kind of life growing up in Baton Rouge. It's a pleasure to be a part of this, to be an alumni of LSU and to be able to see the continued success from this program, the elongated success from this program. So props to them. I'm not doing anything to help them, but I'll be here to cheer for them every single time they take them out.
And look, the support of that program overall, the amount of people that were there on Wednesday for a celebration of a national championship, that I think the amount of people in that park outweighed the amount of people that go to the biggest game of the year for the vast majority of programs around the country. And so that stuff is all super cool. The fact that Coach Bertman had a chance to be at another one and see the program that he was really the architect of in the late 80s and on through the 90s. That's really cool. Jay Johnson becomes the first coach to ever win 2 national championships in his first 4 years at a new school. And so it's really funny to look back now and see some of the people that doubted that LSU was hiring this guy that had only been at Arizona for a few years and hadn't done a ton necessarily in some people's minds, didn't know about a West Coast guy coming to take on the reins of just this magnitude of a program. And he has continued to, because LSU baseball is always under such a microscope, he gets some doubters along the way and has continued to just prove himself as, if not the best, certainly one of the truly elite college baseball coaches right now. And so flowers to him and to that staff who has done a great job, and to really everybody who makes that thing go.
Yeah, the LSU athletic administration, I trust on hiring baseball. They've done pretty much nothing but fairly good hires, I would say, across the board. I trust them way more than I trust the Pelicans front office, which we'll get into in the next PODnas episode, the Pelicans PODnas episode that is coming up very shortly. We'll have that up soon. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
No, I mean, we could end up sitting here and talking about an LSU baseball championship for forever, but yeah, I think we hit a lot of the bases. No pun intended.
I'm already getting angry about the NBA. So let's take a break here. We're going to end this episode. We're going to come back to you with a little bit of NBA action a little bit later on, probably tomorrow. So thank you guys. We appreciate it. Please like, share, comment on this video. Follow Louisiana versus All Y'all, which is your place on the internet to find out everything about Louisiana recruiting, Louisiana sports. You can go to LA versus All Y'all on Twitter and Instagram. Obviously, follow the YouTube video, which you are on right now if you're watching this. And you can follow PODnas _LA at Instagram as well. That's all we got for you. PODnas.